This is 17 News with continuing coronavirus coverage.
Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. I'm Nicole Gitsky. Well, Governor Gavin Newsom is streaming live every day at noon to provide an update on the coronavirus crisis here in our state. Now, today he will be talking about the state's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, we will bring him to you as soon as he is available. In the meantime, now let's go to the latest cases here in Kern County. There are now 27 new cases and including one new death. Now that death total is up to 7 individuals. Now 4 people have died just in less than 2 weeks. 902 people have tested positive. 524 people have made full recoveries. Now that's more than half of those total cases. Now here's how that testing breaks down across Kern County. More than 6,500 of those tests have come back negative. More than 3,700 tests, though, are still pending. That's the most since tests have started. And here's how those numbers are spread across the county. There are 485 cases in Bakersfield East, 263 in Bakersfield West, 105 in the Valley, 21 in the Mountain region, and 19 in the Desert region. Well, now trouble for the Kern County Fair. Fair leaders say they need emergency funding now, or they will have to cancel all fair-grounded events forever. The Fair Board held an emergency meeting yesterday. CEO Michael Olcott said the fair will run out of money possibly as soon as June 1st. The board unanimously approved sending letters to the state requesting emergency funding. If the fair were to shut down, 130 events throughout the year would be scrapped and more than 450 employees would be out of work. Now, if you want to help, you can make a tax-deductible donation to Kern County Fair's affiliation nonprofit organization, and we have that link on our website. One thing the Fair Board did not mention in last night's meeting, the possibility of raising prices for the fair to help offset some of those costs. Now that brings us to the subject of today's 17's interactive poll. We're asking, would you be willing to pay a higher ticket price if it means that the Kern County Fair can continue? Now, more than 300 people have voted so far. 18% of you say yes and 82% of you say no. Now we will keep this poll going and update you on all those votes tonight. Now stay with us. We're back after this.
Welcome back. On the weather front, it's going to be a great day. 79 degrees right now in Arvin under the clear skies, so a beautiful start to the afternoon here. Wasco also looking very nice under clear skies and 78. Frazier Park, and currently they're at 61. Here's a look at Bakersfield, 79 right now with a west-northwest wind at 10 miles per hour, and other temperatures running in the 70s all around the valley, and then 60s, 70s, and 80s up into Ridgecrest, almost at 90 degrees right now, and skies are clear. We did see some high clouds this morning. That is pushed off to the east. And with this front exiting, we were looking at some strong winds this afternoon. We'll also be looking at some cooler air to move on in by tomorrow. 72 in Sacramento today, 88 in Fresno, 70s down to the south into LA and San Diego. Already seeing a little bit of a cool down from the lower 90s we hit yesterday. And this is going to continue as our flow will be more onshore. Whenever we see that, we're allowed to get a little more cooler air in here. Now, the winds. I expect winds to be strong this afternoon. Already seen strong winds over the Grapevine, through the 58, and into the desert, and that's why we've issued that high wind warning. The high wind warning in place until tomorrow morning, and then we have a wind advisory out on the west side until Friday at 5 a.m., and then we're also looking at kind of an air issue possibly this afternoon because maybe a little bit of blowing dust. No rain in our sight. In fact, looking long term, I see no rain the next 15 days, so skies will continue to be sunny for us. And again, with that high wind warning, we could see wind gusts right around 60 miles per hour this afternoon. 87 today, Bakersfield, 85 in Delano. We'll see 89 in Buttonwillow. For the mountains in the Kern River Valley, 72 in Frazier Park, along with Tehachapi. 80 for Lake Isabella, 82 in Kernville, and the desert, sunny and windy today, and 95 in Ridgecrest, but a big cool down out of Mojave at 82. Here's your extended forecast. 82 tomorrow, 83 on Saturday, even cooler Sunday, Monday, but then by next Tuesday, we start to see a change again. By Wednesday of next week, we'll be near 90. For the mountains, cooler weather on the way. Tomorrow, we're back into the 60s. Those 60s hang on through Monday. 70s return by Tuesday. In the Kern River Valley, we're going to cool down into the 70s starting tomorrow. But then by mid next week, you'll be back into the mid 80s. So a little bit of a cool down is on the way. We'll have more news right after the break.
And the county has announced it is opening 3 COVID-19 testing sites in Kern County next week that will be free to the public. Starting on Tuesday, 2 testing sites will be open in Bakersfield and 1 in Mojave. In the past, if you wanted to get tested, you had to get approval from a physician or urgent care, but starting next week, anyone who wants to can get tested for free. One of the new testing sites will be at the Richard Prado Senior Center. Now, the second is at a building 4 of the Kern County Fairgrounds. Another testing site is being established in Mojave at the Mojave Veterans Memorial Building. Appointments can be made online on the County of Kern and Kern County Public Health websites starting on Sunday. Now, a photo ID will be required to receive the test. And 4th of July celebrations will not be happening this year in the city of Bakersfield. The annual fireworks celebration is held at the park at the Riverwalk, but the coronavirus has canceled those plans. According to the city, due to existing local and state health orders advising people to stay home and practice social distancing, it has concluded that the celebration cannot be held as it has been in the past. Now, the celebration typically attracts between 12,000 to 14,000 people who gather to watch the fireworks display in close proximity. The city says they are working with its partners at the Kern County Department of Public Health, the California Department of Public Health, and the Centers for Disease Control to ensure the public's health is not put at risk. And for our 17 follow-up file, one of 4 ex-law enforcement officers caught up in a drug-selling scandal has officially served his debt to society. Now, Patrick Mara, the BPD detective who confessed to stealing drugs to resell on the street, was released from prison on Tuesday. In 2016, a federal judge sentenced Mara to 5 years in prison. He would have been released in May 2021, but the sentence was reduced. And he wasn't the only one who pleaded guilty to federal charges. His partner, Damicio Diaz, was also sentenced to 5 years. He's going to be released next month. Local businessman Noel Carter isn't scheduled to get out until 2025. KCSO deputies Derek Penny and Logan August originally avoided jail time, but they were given new state charges in 2018. Now, the case is scheduled to go to trial next month, and it's a complex case we've been following for years now. To find that whole story, you can go to kget.com, go to features, and click on Kern Corruption. Well, the news making headlines across the state. The Orange County District Attorney is sending a warning to California residents after 7 registered sex offenders who he said were high risk were recently released from custody earlier amid in the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. Now, the district attorney says they were released on April 7th and they had spent just days in jail instead of 6 months required by law for those registered as sex offenders. Orange County Sheriff Don Barnes announced Tuesday that the jail population in the county has been reduced by nearly 45% since March. He checked with Kern County court officials, and they say we're not likely to see any similar issues happening here. Well, Kern County has now responded after more than a dozen local lawyers and business owners sent a letter to the county saying the stay-at-home orders is unconstitutional. Now, the question at the heart of the issue is, when is the government allowed to step on people's freedom for the sake of public health? The letter addressed to the Board of Supervisors asked the county to overturn the stay-at-home order. Among the 19 signatures, 6 are lawyers. Also represented are Mechanics Banks, 10 Star Farms, Inspire Salon, Carpet Outlet Plus, and KC Stakeout, among others.
Willing to do any of the guidelines that the health department sets forth, but we're ready to have the able-bodied, healthy Americans be able to come out and have a lunch, even if it's only 10 people in our building. The
letter cites part of the health and safety code that allows officials to quarantine infected or likely infected people, but not the entire county. It also argues the stay-at-home order violates the First, Second, and Fifth Amendments. And last night, Kern County Council Margot Rayson issued a response to that letter that reads in part, after reviewing that letter and conducting some research, my belief is that allegations contained in the letter written by the concerned citizens of Kern County lack merit. This is nothing that public health or the county has done that is unconstitutional. The governor's executive orders carry with it the force of law, and if we were to be sued, we will vigorously represent the county, and I'm confident in the success we would have. I'm confident Matt Constantine has done nothing unconstitutional. And several events scheduled for May have been canceled or postponed by the city. The first Saturday cleanup hosted by Keep Bakersfield Beautiful, set for May 5th, has been canceled. The fun run planned for May 3rd at the park at Riverwalk has been canceled. The low-cost monthly pet vaccination clinic held by Bakersfield Animal Care Center, planned for May 9th, has been postponed until further notice. The Mother's Day run planned for May 10th at the park at Riverwalk has been canceled. The May 6th City Council meeting will not be open to the public, but will be broadcasted live. All right, stay with 17 News. We're back after this. Welcome back. Well, here in Kern County, we are still seeing numbers rise, but we are still starting to see some possible treatments for the coronavirus. Now, Dr. Hamal Kathari, the Chief Medical Officer for Dignity Health Central California Division, explains why social distancing is still extremely important amid the controversy with Dr. Erickson and Dr. Masihi.
Germs are ubiquitous. They're all over the place. So if the only way you would lower your immune system is if you lived in a bubble. So I don't think that's a very accurate statement at all.
Let's talk about the latest developments in the plasma treatment. We've been talking about this every day, but it is brand new and it is evolving. And yesterday, Houchin Blood Bank came out and announced some new successes, saying that at least one local patient was able to go home almost immediately after receiving this treatment.
So, I think it's one of these miraculous drugs that we have in our arsenal. We've heard of remdesivir, but I think the plasma treatment is going to be the way to go eventually. I just think it's amazing. And what the community is doing by donating this plasma to the patients that we have in our hospitals is great as well.
And we've talked a lot about how you can donate. You have to have tested positive at some point, but also you've said recently that someone who has received an antibody test showing that they had the antibodies and then now do not have the active virus can also donate plasma. But we also know that these antibody tests are not 100% reliable. Is there a chance that someone could think they have the antibodies, not really have them, and then go on to donate plasma that would be given to a patient and it just would have no effect whatsoever because that person really did not ever have coronavirus?
Well, as long as you have a positive test and you've been 14 days out and without symptoms, I think you're going to develop antibodies. The problem with these antibodies, there is an issue, is they have a high false positive rate. What that means is a lot of people show positive antibodies and don't really have antibodies towards COVID. So even though the test may be false, you're still going to have some antibodies. We don't know how much and how many people will develop how many. It just depends. It's going to be a very variable thing. We're still trying to learn about this plasma treatment, but we know you'll have some antibodies for sure.
So is there a possibility, though, that someone could donate plasma and it could be used but be ineffective because they got that false positive and they really did not have an immunity to it?
Well, they'll have some immunity as long as they've had a true positive test of COVID-19. They'll develop antibodies. Everybody does. But at what rate is what we don't know. So some people may develop it 3 weeks after having COVID. Some people may develop it a week after. That's the part we don't know.
What if you never got the positive coronavirus test? You just got the antibody test after the fact?
Yeah, we're not letting anybody just donate just based on the antibody test.
Okay. All right, a couple more questions coming from our Facebook Live. Someone was asking, is it okay to be out around family members as long as you're still socially distancing? I think I've been seeing this a lot more around social media, people having meetups in front yards and setting their lawn chairs 6 feet apart so that they can see the people that they haven't seen in so long.
Yeah, I think as long as you keep it to small groups and you do socially distance, I think it's fine. I think people are getting anxious and they're worried about not being able to see friends and family. So I think, small groups, socially distanced, I think you're fine.
California's lockdown will be eased in phases, and we could see more businesses reopen in the next few months. Now, on Tuesday, Governor Gavin Newsom unveiled a detailed timeline on how the state plans to reopen businesses, public spaces, and schools. It will happen in 4 phases. Now, we are currently in phase 1. Phase 2 brings the reopen of retail stores with curbside pickup, manufacturing, childcare facilities, and public spaces. Phase 3 reopens nail salons, gyms, movie theaters, and sports without live audiences, as well as in-person religious services. Now, Phase 4 will mark the end of the state's stay-at-home orders. Governor Newsom says Phase 2 is weeks away and the 3rd and 4th are months away. Now, here in Kern County, they tell us they are still working on figuring out how to make the plan work in our community.
That looks like we're not sure yet, and it's still kind of in the early stages.
Now, Newsom also says schools could start as early as July. The county says they are putting together an committee to figure out how it will all work. The city, the Department of Public Health, and other local industry leaders will be part of it. And more furloughs and layoffs are expected for businesses in Kern County. New warn notices were sent to the county officials that were released yesterday. These notices are required when employers make major adjustments that affect workers. Included in the notices are Golden State Drilling, which has announced 130 layoffs. Western Dental has temporary furloughed 75 workers across several branches in Kern County. Also furlough are 9 employees at the Finish Line at the Valley Plaza Mall. All right, well, we now have Governor Gavin Newsom. Let's take it over to him and hear what he has to say today.
Beginning to expand the opportunities for more retail in the state of California, more manufacturing of non-essential goods. Consider the opportunity to open up spaces all across the state that have otherwise been closed. We've been breaking those conversations down, working with our economic and recovery advisors, and also working sector by sector to understand the unique challenges, unique characteristics of businesses large and small all throughout the state of California. We had wonderful conversations yesterday with elected officials, federal representatives, Democrats, Republicans from all across the state of California. Had very spirited conversations around regionalism, variances, everybody making the point. Each and every part of the state is distinctive in some respects from other parts of the state, and we need to be considerate to all of the work we do here in Sacramento, not from the frame top down, but truly bottom up, community by community, region by region, but all working for the greater good in the state of California. So we are moving along very swiftly. I'm breaking down the guidance with the consideration that these modifications will be in place in the next number of weeks, and making sure we're doing that in partnership and in council with local leaders all throughout the state of California. But one thing has become crystal clear. When we talk about economic opportunities, economic growth, and reopening with modifications the economy in a safe way in the state of California, not only should we be driven by data and public health as a predicate, and we will be, but we also have to be driven by considerations of workforce. And that means we really have to consider the needs of our workers, particularly those with children. And that's why today I want to make an announcement about an effort that's been, and I'm not exaggerating, almost 2 decades in the making. These challenges are they birth necessity and innovation. And what we're announcing today is, because of necessity, an innovative portal, an innovative platform that the Department of Social Services has put up for childcare in this state.
I just want to touch on what he has been talking about so far. He is talking about the modifications they are working to change and they have in place. Now that he's also talking about the economic growth, the opportunities, and what we can see when we reopen here in California. All right, you just heard the latest from Governor Gavin Newsom. Now, one of the things he did mention today is there is a Childcare Portal where now you can go on and you can search childcare in the area that is open and ready to take children in. So now this has been 20 years in the making is what he's been saying. But what it will do is you go to the covid.ca.gov website. From there, you will see a tab where you can click on it. It's find healthcare options. Now you will include an address or a zip code for childcare where you would like it. And it will show you listed options that are open, resources. Then from there, it will also show you the availability, the capacity, the credibility. And so if you're looking for childcare, if you're working, this is a great way to do that, is what Governor Newsom is saying. Now, he also did mention briefly on outdoor activities. On that exact same website, you can find new modifications and changes, recommendations. Now, he does mention that if you want to golf, horseback ride, tennis, anything along those lines, that is fine, but make sure you are following social distancing guidelines. He is also just talking about, again, over last weekend, the beaches in LA were packed, and he is saying that that is not okay. People can get outside, but make sure to remember social distancing. That is the one thing we can do in order to stop the spread of coronavirus. And you can continue watching Governor Newsom's whole live stream on our Facebook page and on our website, kget.com.
This is 17 News with continuing coronavirus coverage.